Here is the new theme song for Joe Bartnick as we go live on rawmike.richards.com. What do you think? Too much? Is it too much?
Was that Jesus Christ Superstar?
Absolutely it was. You know it is. You know that's what you play.
Oh.
When you go on stage, you know that's exactly what you play.
Why is he pretending not to know it?
Oh, beauties. And, hey, look where we are right now. We're all excited, and we're dropping the puck for real. The stuff is going off. Of course, in Toronto, they're already planning the parade route. And I got to be honest, we just went through the first month of the schedule for the Maple Leafs. How many playoff teams did we say they're playing? One? Two?
Maybe two.
One, maybe two. So they're going to get off to a good October. And, look, there's a lot of reasons to be excited about it. I guess the question is, if you're not from Toronto, how do you see the East playing out, including teams like the Pittsburgh Penguins?
I think there's 5 teams in the East with a legitimate claim to win the Stanley Cup.
To win it, to actually win it, not just to get there. You're saying to win it.
Yes, well,
Okay.
I think when you get there, you're going to have a hot goaltender, so anything can happen. I mean, look at Flower. He just slowed down against Washington. Or, I mean, Vegas beat Winnipeg, which I thought was the best team in hockey. I'm not just saying that because I love Dave. A hot goaltender can stop anybody. So, I mean, look at Boston. I mean, I think they're the 5th best team in the East. Something breaks right, and they maybe get one more winger at the deadline. They are right there.
Well, what about Tampa Bay? Because I'm watching them last year in the playoffs, and there was just something about them that said, they're close, but they're not. Certainly, I don't see them as the best team in the East. They obviously have a lot of weapons. The goaltending, I don't know necessarily if I'm still thinking that it's a top 5. I think you need one of those guys to win. Where do you put the Lightning?
I think Tampa may have on paper the best roster, but something never seems to click among the top end talent on that team. As far as Stamkos and or Kucherov never seem to have it all going together at the same time. Like, you always have to have your very best players playing at their very best when it means something.
We're in conversation with Joe Bartnick. He is one of the co-hosts of the Puck Off podcast, my favorite hockey podcast. Be sure to check that out. Let's take a look at the Eastern Conference for a second. So, Atlantic Division, I have Tampa, Toronto, Boston. Metro, I have Pittsburgh, Washington, Philly. Those are my top 3s. I have Columbus sneaking in, one of the wild cards. And the other wild card I have is the Buffalo Sabres. Now, I'm not fully convinced of this, but I am throwing them in as if everything works out properly, if Carter Hutton turns out to be the starter that I think he's been doing, with the Nashville Predators and last year with the St. Louis Blues, where he kind of stole the net for a couple of months, I think the Buffalo Sabres could be there. What do you have that matches up differently than I have with the Eastern Conference?
Well, I was all in on the New Jersey Devils, but now I see that Corey Schneider has a bad hip, so we're relying on Ruben Kincaid to drive the bus. That scares me a little bit. I like the Florida Panthers. I know Bobby Lou's getting a little bit older, but I just think they have so much offensive talent. They have a decent blue line. I like the Sabres. I mean, I think Hutton is such a huge upgrade over Robin Lerner. I mean, Lerner was absolutely horrible. So, and then, in the young kid, Dahlin, he's going to do what Jack Eichel never could do, and that's get the Sabres out of the basement. So I just like Florida being the 4th team. And in the Metro, I'm not a Columbus guy. I'm gonna get sick right now and vomit and say it probably will be Philly. If Philly was playing on PlayStation, they'd be an amazing team because you could just play the top 6 forwards, the same 2 defensemen, and then the computer plays goaltender.
What is it with Philadelphia where goalies just seem to go to not do well?
Or die.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I think one of them did, so I got to bypass that one.
There's an early 80s reference.
I was going to say, or not that long ago in Hamilton Harbor. That's what I was kind of thinking.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But it seems like Philly's just like this wasteland of goaltending. Why is it that way?
I have no idea, but I really don't even want to analyze it because I'm just so happy that's what happened. It's just a miracle. Just think if they would ever get goaltending, how awful it would be.
Oh, man. Western Conference, Joe. I know we agree on a couple of these things with Winnipeg, Nashville, St. Louis. On the other side, a lot of people have the Sharks. I'm in that boat as well. I have Vegas, and I have the Calgary Flames sneaking in the number 3 spot. I just don't know about the health of the Anaheim Ducks. I don't know about the age and the slowness of the Los Angeles Kings. And my 2 wild card teams are the Colorado Avalanche. If they could get proper goaltending, they do have one of the best young players in the NHL, probably a Hart candidate in Nathan McKinnon. And I think the Dallas Stars might sneak in there as well.
Out west, I obviously Sharks in Vegas. I kind of like Vegas a little bit more than the Sharks, only because I think they, as much as you have to love the fact that Eriksson is now a Shark, and they're going to have either Burns or Eriksson on the ice for 4/5 of the whole game, which I think is amazing. I just love what Vegas did. I just think having Pacioretty is an upgrade over James Neal in a lot of departments, and then you add Paul Stastny. I just think that was an amazing acquisition. And I'm a little turned off by Schmidt losing 20 games, but that's okay because Flower missed the first 20 games last year. So I just kind of like Vegas. Vegas is pushed, but I think I wouldn't want to play San Jose in the playoffs, that's for sure. And then I like the Kings. It sounds like a homer pick, but I just look at that roster, and actually the communist looks okay. I was down on the communist, but he looks like he didn't really play hard for the last 5 years, so he has a little something in the tank.
Yeah,
and I like Quickie, but I'll tell you, don't sleep on the Ducks. Those injuries are like a blessing. Because I've been watching a lot of these preseason games, and I know it's the preseason, but they got some guys that can play. They have this kid Max Comtois. He's like 6'2", like 210, 225. I mean, he looks like Corey Perry did 15 years ago.
Well, I'm sitting here looking at the gambling numbers because that's kind of what we do. And do you like to play? Or do you gamble at all? Do you throw some money on games?
I do. Yes, I do.
Yes, of course you do. We know you do. I'm looking at some of the games even tonight and what we call the puck line. So that's winning by 2 goals. I'm thinking if I'm looking at tonight's game, I love the Leafs. So -1.5 for the puck line. The Montreal Canadiens. Boy, what a miserable season this is going to be. And seriously, if they think they're going to hang on to Carey Price for a period of time and not get something back for him, because after he faces 40 and 50 shots or whatever it's going to be, they better unload him. But tonight, I think the Leafs, they're going to be so jacked up, I think -1.5 is a good gambling number.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but what's Nylander? I mean, I think the biggest question in Toronto is what's Nylander going to do?
Yes.
I'm thinking maybe he. I mean, I think he might come to. I think a thing would be maybe come to the Ducks because the Ducks have 4 top 4 defensemen. But then I think about the Ducks. Do they really want to give away maybe the strength of their team for Nylander? Then you think, well, maybe the Kings. I mean, but what would Toronto take like a Muzzin or Alec Martinez, and then maybe a young forward? I mean, what does Toronto want for Nylander?
Defenseman. Yeah. Definitely a defenseman.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, but I mean, like how big of a defense? I mean, like a superstar defenseman or a couple defensemen. I think they need 2 defensemen personally.
Yeah.
I just think Nylander's not going to get the money that he wants and or deserves. There's just only so much pie. In Toronto.
Yeah, well, that's what we're saying, too. They're going to find themselves in a situation that's not that dissimilar to what Chicago went through when they had all the players and they had all that money and they had to literally dump guys to keep that thing going. And for the Leafs, if you're looking, we talked earlier on the show, what exactly do you think other teams are willing to cough up for Willie Nylander at this point in his career, which the upside probably still down the road, but in terms of the money that he wants, if he's looking at $8 million and the Leafs are talking about 6.5 in that area somewhere, I just don't know if you get the return necessarily. But at some point, I think they're going to have to talk to somebody because it'll get to the point where I think even in terms of being the agent, representing that client, you may not be doing your client a whole bunch of favors. You got to be careful with that.
Oh, absolutely. And I also think that Toronto has to figure out who is really worth all that money, because they're talking about Marner like it's a big three. I don't see it that way, because then who's going to play defense? I mean, Chicago at least gave Duncan Keith some money.
Yep.
And Seabrook way too much money, and they had to go, and Corey Crawford some money. And then the Penguins, if you look at the other team that had the dynasty, I mean, they gave Letang some money. I know I have mixed reviews, but it was Sid and Gino. It wasn't 4 guys they gave a bunch of money to. It was 2 guys, and they kind of took hometown discounts. I did not see Tavares' hometown discount right there, and I don't think Matthews is going to give him a hometown discount. And I don't think Marner's a $10 million guy. And I think he thinks he is. And then who's playing defense? I wouldn't give Gardner that. I wouldn't give Gardner $8 million or $7 million or $6 million.
So true, so true. Hey Joe, who's the worst team in hockey right now?
Well, I mean, it has to be the Ottawa Senators. I have them ranked 31st on my power pool. I said that they wouldn't even be on top of an AHL power pool.
Correct. Okay. I just wanted to know if we were on the same page.
See, that's interesting, too, that you'd use the term power pool and then have a team that's like 31st, because I think power pool should only apply to like the top 10 guys. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think it's funny that actually, like, maybe 2 of the, I'm always scared of Toronto because of the defense, but obviously with Matthews and Tavares, they're insane. But between Winnipeg and Toronto, 2 of the 5 best teams in the NHL, and then literally the 3 worst teams in the NHL are also Canadian.
Calder Trophy. I have a long shot because everybody's on the Rasmus Dahlin camp. Do you have a Calder Trophy winner right now? I'll tell you mine in 1 minute.
I think it's going to be Rasmus Dahlin, because he's going to get all the hype, and they're just begging for someone to do anything in Buffalo, and he does look good. So I think it's going to be him. The league wants nice stories out of Buffalo once. It's like the league is giving stories about the mascot in Philly. It looks like Claude Giroux had a love child with Scotty Hartnell and that dish rag of a mascot they got. They make it like, oh my God, it looks like they show them at the Children's Hospital. Like, that's amazing. I mean, it's like you can run that story any day of the year, 2 days before camp. It's like all over NHL.com.
Oh, I know. They promoted it like it was a 10-year deal worth $100 million to some superstar we've never heard of. I'm absolutely sick of Gritty or whatever the hell he's called.
I'm just amazed at 2018, 2019. We still think mascots are fun. I think the fun factor on a mascot ran out in about 1957.
Yeah,
the kids.
I think when Jacks were fun. I think that's when mascots were.
That's right.
Going back to Calder, I've circled Ryan Donato, Boston Bruins. I think he might have an opportunity to play top 6 minutes on a very good team, and if the guy could put together 50 or 60 points, he'll threaten. He might be part of that Calder conversation when they have the ballots and the 3 names are on it. That's just somebody I'm looking out for entering the season.
I think that's a great call, but I just think it's Dahlin's to lose. I'll tell you who looked good is the Skylar McKenzie. He's going to be the Jake Gensel of the Winnipeg Jets.
Oh, that would be outstanding if that actually comes through. I'm crossing my fingers on that.
How did he not make the team?
Oh, it's a pretty decent team. You saw that, but also, you know how it works with some of these teams. You keep players that aren't necessarily better because you don't want to lose them. And yes, I'm looking at you, Marco Dano. So, I mean, that's the situation with Winnipeg, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm just throwing a little fun. But it's funny because I do get enamored because I think I'm the only person that watches, 5 preseason games a day. Then I get enamored with these guys, and all of a sudden they're gone.
That's why we love you, and that's why you're our favorite guest, and that's why I booked you like a month ago for opening night. And because this is a Canadian holiday. I know you're one of those Americans that actually love it just as much as us. But up here, Joe, you would fit right in, brother.
Oh, I would, between the Crown Royal and the hockey. I mean, you guys are my people. I'll say that. If I could ask you a question, there seems to be a downplaying of Sid and Gino and the boys. Now, I understand Matt Murray has to be healthy, but are you trying to tell me that they're not one of the teams with a real shot at the, I mean, and I know, I love Jack Johnson, but this Ricolai kid looks amazing. I just think that we're loaded, and I think that Sid and Gino are motivated. I know they're always motivated, but I think the Penguins have a real shot. What do you guys think?
Well, I think they're one of the teams that when people, here in Toronto get all excited about their chances, it's like they've completely bypassed a team that has been dominant for the last decade with some of the best players in the world on it, and all of a sudden, they've got a goaltender who, isn't the overnight sensation that people sort of played it out to be. This has been, years in the making for the overnight sensation. To me, they're towards the top, and if I'm looking at the Leafs right now, and I get into a playoff series, I mean, do I really believe that young guys can go out? Like I said, for the Leafs, I don't believe it's this year. I think it's next year. But if I'm looking at teams from the East, yeah, I'm probably looking at Pittsburgh. I do.
I like the Penguins as well, Joe. I have them win the Metropolitan Division. I like I not only like their top 6, I like their top 9. And one player, and you know this player very well, but I love the return of Matt Cullen. I think this guy was one of the missing pieces last year, even though he is a definition of a role player. I also look at guys like Ole Mata to take that next step because he's been in the league for a couple of years. Young defensemen take a little more time than a forward would, and it's starting to get to the point where this guy should be starting to break through even more than he has been. He's had some problems in the past where he's fought off a critical disease and so forth, but now I look at him and I look at him taking a major step forward. That's why I like the Penguins. Matt Murray has to stay healthy, and I think this team is the best in the Metropolitan.
Thank you. What's funny is that Ole actually had a really solid year last year. He just kind of a little under. He never gets the kind of the press that he should because he really had a solid year, and I know he's one of my guys. But he's really solid. He has the problem of like not being Schultzy. He's just kind of a steady guy that's never really in the wrong place. And because he's steady, he always seems to get the outline partner where it's like, okay, well, we'll put him with Oleksiak. We don't want Oleksiak to have too much time, or he'll get Ruedel. He never seems to have he's never in a top 4 pairing only because that's who his partner is because he's a steady, safe guy. But I do think Cullen was a huge get. And I'm sick of hearing about Brassard. Well, is Brassard going to be happy? I want to see, is Sid and Gino going to get a Stanley Cup? If Brassard isn't happy, he can go to 31 other teams and go play. He can go to Ottawa. He can go back to Ottawa and see how happy he is. It's like Ronnie Francis comes to town. They go, Ronnie, you're going to be the second-line center. Oh, okay, because there's Mario. Who the frig is Derek Brassard to come into Pittsburgh and say, I don't like playing third-line center? Oh, I don't know. We'll have 2 Hall of Famers in the 1 and 2 hole. Give me a break. I'm sick of hearing about Derek Brassard. Oh, what's Derek Brassard thinking about going? Who cares? I want to see Derek Brassard in the press box. I don't care if he's going to complain. He can enjoy the popcorn.
Hey, and also tell you, I've never heard the word happiness in Ottawa in the same sentence in this country ever. Ever.
Every time I'm there, I'm happy. You guys got on the crowd roll. And beautiful women in Ottawa too. I got to say, right along the lake or the pond or whatever that waterway is. I never could figure out what that was, but it was nice. It wasn't like polluted like everything in America. No. It was all clean.
The Rideau Canal. That's their big thing there. But I also think it's sad that just a river is your big thing. Sorry, I just believe that you should have something else going for you, but it is Ottawa. What are your plans, by the way, stand-up wise? I see you've been playing a lot. You played with you and your buddy Bill Burr were out there a little while ago. What's going on for you?
Yeah, I did the Forum on Friday night.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Bill Burr sold 20,000 tickets. And then I played with him. But
that's okay.
Still cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was the most amazing night ever.
What have they done with that building? Because obviously they don't use it for any of the sporting teams anymore, and I've heard they've kind of retrofitted it. What can you tell us about the fabulous Forum and basically one of the awesome hockey arenas that I loved watching when I was growing up?
They totally redid it. I think the people that own Madison Square Garden Company, they totally refurbished it and so they only really have concerts there now.
Okay.
And the sound is ridiculous. Like, I mean, I played, and like the screens were even. The screens looked amazing. Even I looked good. And the sound was perfect. Me and Bill were like, this sound was perfect. Like, you didn't have to wait a second. There was no delay in the stand-up. It was perfect synchronicity with what we were saying and what was on the screen.
Oh, that's...
And I've been lucky enough to do a lot of great shows with some epic comedians, and I've been in a lot of backstage areas. The backstage at the Forum was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I could see how AC Green could have got laid in that green room.
And probably did. I'm just saying. Hey, Joey, thanks so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure. We're at the start of the season. Great to have you on, as always. You take care, my brother, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Oh, absolutely. I'm coming back east, and let's get together, we'll make it happen. You guys are the best. Anytime you need me to talk hockey, you know I'm always there.
Oh, you're the best. Thanks a lot, Joe. All right, take care.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye.
That is the one and only Joe Bartnick, obviously a stand-up. I'm playing the Forum, the old Forum.
That's cool.
20,000 people with Bill Burr, his buddy Bill Burr, and then, of course, his podcast is called Puck Off.
What? We just become best friends? Yep.